Welcome to the Dice Gods. My name is Hydra, and today we are talking about this guy. If you are keeping up to date with what's going on with Infinity, the move to N5, then you probably have seen this book around the place. I've certainly seen that a lot of people have pre-ordered it with this thing. Yeah, Sand Trap. You can get that as a pre-order bundle at the moment. These two together, you get the bonus miniature, it's all grand. However, there are some misconceptions about this book that I want to talk about. I want to talk about what is in this book, what isn't in this book, and my thoughts on it. So let's get into it. First of all, thank you so much to Corvus Belli for sending this to us, for us to have a look at, to get our paws on early, and to talk to all to you lovely people about. First things first, I have seen a lot of people telling me that they have ordered Sand Trap and the N5 rules, which is interesting because we have N5, we have Infinity on the front here. If you actually look at this on the Corvus Belli website, it looks like this. It says it is Infinity N5. However, this is not a rule book. This contains no rules. So if you are buying this in the anticipation that you will get Infinity N5, you will not. This is not that. This is purely a lore book. This is pure fluff. That is what you've got in it. A little bit of hobby. But this is lore, okay? So this is the status of most of the Infinity Universe. This is the state of most of the factions inside the game. That most is doing a lot of heavy lifting. We'll cover that one in a second. This is not a rule book. There are not rules in this book. I cannot stress that enough. I've had to say it to quite a few friends and quite a few people online as well. The rules for N5 are dropping November 18th. I believe there's going to be a book for that. You'll be able to buy that separately. I don't know if there's going to be any lore in that. I have no idea what's in that book, but N5 happens then. I would imagine there will be none. I imagine it will just literally be a rule book. You'll also get the N5 rules for free in PDF format, available from the Infinity of the Universe website. So you will be able to download the full rules like you can already, the quick start rules. But if you thought you're picking this up and getting the rules, this is not that. So what is this? As I say, it's the lore. I am the law! I've been waiting to make that joke for vastly longer than is healthy for any normal human being, but let's continue. Let's make out that never happened, okay? In here, we have the current state of most of the factions in the human sphere and the alien races for Infinity as of N5, when that all kicks off. So after the event of N-Song, when, if you're a newbie, this doesn't make sense, but in N-Song there were some big changes, not least of which the Combined Army sort of joined in humanity and got seats on the council and all sorts of stuff. So the age-old enemy is now a friend. This book will let you know where everybody is. Looking at the index at the front here, we've got Pano, we've got Yuching, we've got Ariadne and Nomads. Combined Army 012 JSA. That does miss ALEPH, that does miss Hak Islam, and that does miss Tohar, actually, because Tohar, as we know, are staying. Despite everybody being panicked that this guy was going to fall and bring the Tohar with them, they are staying, but they're not in this book. We have no status for those factions. They're simply not here. We can anticipate that will come later, obviously, but as of you picking up this book, they are not there. So if you are only an ALEPH player, if you are only a Hak player, this lore book will let you know what's going on with everybody else. It'll set the scene, which is great. For the factions that are in here, for the most part, what you will find is an awful lot of lore. If you've read an Infinity book before, if you've seen an Infinity book before, this will be familiar to you. So we have, there goes, a bit of nomad goodness for you. So we have a whole load of lore that lets you know who these people are, what they're doing, what their motivations are, what drives them. The parts within it, so we were talking about nomads there for a second, so here's the observance for Kunin, ladies. Lilith kicks my ass way, way too often with these guys for me to be pleased to see them, but they're still there. We then get into troop information. So, sectorials. Oh, look, new unit, new Tunguska unit, triggermen. What could that mean? Anyway, and then things like this. Go pod. We have bikes coming. We know this. So there's all kinds of stuff that will let you see what's coming ahead and what units are coming in, but it doesn't actually let you know what they are, other than the law. So if you're good at converting half a page of text into rules, you're a genius. You're doing better than me. But there's no actual rules for those. What we do get is army lists. So here is, so vanilla is now called generic. Let's do it that way. So this is nomads. This is the nomad generic force. It is reduced from what we can get an M4. They've cut back the amount of bloat that was inside of vanilla forces, as they used to be called, generic as they now are. Because you used to be able to take everything from within nomads, for example, in a nomad generic army, and that was just so many options, and so many. A lot of them were very similar, but one was slightly better pointed than the other one. It was just kind of a, you know, especially for new players, it was a blender of your brain to figure out what to take. And it, like, I'm looking here at the nomads. They have gators, salamanders, and geckos as their tag options. So we don't have a lizard in there. We don't have that horrific thing from the stigmatans from Bakunin. They're not in here too, which kind of makes sense. It's a kind of very specific. The stigmatan is a tag for the observance, which is a very observance thing. The fact you could just sling it in with everybody else, I don't know. I get it. I like it. I like the fact that we're slimming this down. We're trimming it down to a more manageable size. So those are in there. I'm gonna sort of, just for a moment, point out that there is some stuff in here that will traumatise ALEPH players. There's your boy, Achilles. He's gone. He's over in Combined. Yeah, Steel Phalanx has got, there's Achilles, there's Pandora. Yeah, you get to find out what happened there. Oof. Anyway, Patroclus. All this good stuff. But you'll also find, for certain factions, like JSA, that we have generic lists, and then we have the sectorial of Shinden Butai, because that is a brand new sectorial. We haven't seen that before, so we have the army list for both of those in here. If you're a new player and you don't know what I'm talking about, within a main faction, it'll be fractured down into different sectorials. The sectorial is kind of, within the bounds of law, a specific part of the overall faction. They'll have a specific field, they'll have a specific place in which they live. So with the Shinden Butai, they are on Shinju, which is the new planet, which is where Sand Trap takes place. So this box actually contains Shinden Butai miniatures or units that go into that force. Now, Shinden Butai has units which are only available for it. You can't get them in a generic force. They only work there. So it gives it a very distinct flavor. It gives it a distinct style. It gives it a distinct play form, which is interesting. It means that, you know, JSA isn't just JSA. You don't just play it as JSA. You have an option of different flavors, and those different flavors have different play styles, which is fab. We have the same for Pano. Actually, we have the generic stuff. All the screenshots on the universe. Well, actually, a lot of this is leaked now, so it's all good. And then next to it, we have Kestrel, which again, that is the other army inside of Sand Trap. So you have all the guys there. If you're wondering, new players, what the black and white stuff is, those are units from other factions that are in here. So black and white normally is ALEPH, unless it's this one here, which is a war core. So yeah, you have those. You get a feel for it. Get a feel for Kestrel and the direction they're going, and the kind of good stuff they've got, and the good stuff they've got coming up. So that stuff's really useful. It can tell you the direction the game's going. It can tell you what's happening to your faction, which units are out for generic, not necessarily gone. It's like, you know, we've recently had the taken to the garden and shot in the head of Neoterran Capitoline Army Shock Army of Acconcimento, and Varuna for Pano. They just got axed. That said, when we look at the generic list, we have Neoterran bolts. Neoterran bolts, which, as the name implies, were from Neoterra. Swiss and Aquila Guards, which used to be there as well. Tickable Langs, which, although military orders, were very much a Acconcimento unit. Helots, which used to be Varuna. I want to say Crockman Varuna as well, but I can't be certain on that one. I was never big on Varuna. I'm sorry about that. And Karhu as well. They were, if memory serves, they were Varuna as well. So, although those sectorials are gone, some of the units are being redistributed other places. So, you know, careful on taking your entire collection out to the garden and setting fire to it. We are not Warhammer people. We don't do stuff like that. At least of all because it's metal and it takes a lot of burning. You've got to be really committed to that if you're going to do that. So it's interesting from that perspective because we get to see what is going to be in these different armies now, how generic's going to shape up. It's a very different beast, and we get a feel of what's coming up. The other things that this book contains is we have Shinju missions, Day 1 campaign. So we have a number of missions inside of here. I think it's 3. I want to say it's 3. And a narrative mode. Oh yeah, narrative mode, people. It's there. It's very interesting. But more on that one later. So we have missions in here. And we also have painting tutorials. So in my case, how your miniatures could look if you had patience and skill. If you're just learning, it can be a bit daunting, but I would say have a look and it'll give you some idea about what they go through. So like we have all the paints that are used to paint the studio miniatures, and then we have step-by-step guides, step-by-step guides of like the total breakdown of how everything comes together. So we have a degree of hobby stuff in here, and the Wrecker for O12, more specifically Torchlight. And then, of course, Nokizaru, the JSA. How to paint him too. Such a gorgeous miniature, I have to say. Such a gorgeous miniature. It's actually worth, I think Torchlight as well. Touching on Torchlight for a second. If I recall correctly, they also, because they kind of got released sort of between books and they didn't really get a whole huge hell of a lot. So we have the sectorial list for Torchlight in here as well. Oh, wait, there we go. So everything that's going in Torchlight is there. No, I don't really think there's major surprises for Torchlight players in there. I don't think there's anything majorly new. Oh no, there's some. Anyway, so yeah, that's the book. It's a load of lore. It's a load of actual physical story. It's a load of unit information. It is a load of availability, as in which units are available in which armies. Not the volumes, so we don't know that. Then we've got some missions. Then we've got some painting guides. That's it. That's what is in this box. This book, sorry, €65. That is what this is getting you. If you're a new player, is this worth it? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to say yeah. Why? Because lore inside of Infinity, the background, the story is, for a lot of players, myself included, pretty important. And this information will really engage you and dive you into the really well realised universe of the human sphere. Corvus Belli are really investing heavily these days in progressing the story and developing the story. We've got TV shows coming out. We've got computer games coming out. This is a growing thing, and this will bed you in that. This will give you an insight. This will position you and place you in the world. And unless you're playing Hack or ALEPH or Toha, this will tell you what your faction is about, what their nature is, and their nature gives you an idea of how they play and what's coming up and what sort of direction they're going and what you can expect. Annually, we get narrative campaigns, so having an idea about where your faction is and what they're up to and where they're going is kind of cool, and it helps. So the painting guides, useful, especially if you're not an experienced painter. If a little daunting, I'll be honest. The missions, very, very cool. Something fun to play through. The lore, really, really useful. Really, really great. But no rules. There are no rules in this book. They're not there. Nada, none, zero, nada. They are coming on October 18th. So, but you can get them for free. This book is interestingly written, well written. There's some great stories in here. There's some, yeah, we've all kinds of good stuff. Surprises, although a lot of them have been leaked now. Some hints as to what's coming up ahead. That's all contained within this book. And if you're just diving into the world, it's well worth it. For a veteran, if you are into the lore, this is a must-buy. It very much is. €65. I mean, it's a hardback book, which is nice. But this book for N4, which was the starter with rules and core book, was about the same. And is actually the same number of pages in the lore book. So this core book, which is lore, as it used to be, is the same number of pages as this new book here. But you've got two books. It's inflation. But also, I think they're responding to the fact that a lot of people, or some people, prefer to get the digital version of the rules because in theory the digital version is updated, which I get. The PDF will be updated as changes happen. And they're not necessarily always as quickly as some people would like. There's quite a few people have mentioned that to me in recent months. You know, it's great having a living rulebook if the damn thing has a pulse. We don't see changes from one year to the next. It's not entirely true, but I think we'll have to see how that goes. But the advantage of the PDF is as new versions of the rules, as errata, as FAQs happen, as updates occur, they'll go into that PDF. If you physically own a rulebook, we aren't quite at the point where this can be updated. Carlos is not going to come to your house with a red pen and some correction fluid, and it's just not going to happen. He'd never get it all done. I mean, he's not Father Christmas. He's not Santa. He can't get around everybody in one night. I wish he could, but the man has limits. It's a surprise to all of us. So, yeah, if you're planning on buying a book, definitely worth your money. Definitely worth the invest, I think. If you're planning on it being or expecting it to be rules, it's not. But it's a gorgeous book, and it's very much worth the read. I've sunk a lot of time into this book already, which is good because it's wearing well. Actually, I have spent a lot of time reading this book and poking and all the rest of it, and it's looking good. Unlike some books, you get them and they sort of fall apart. These don't, which is nice. But there's a lot of information, and there's a lot of stuff to read. There's a lot of stuff to learn. So I would say it's worth your money. €65 is not cheap. If you have to choose between this and Sandtrap, get Sandtrap. Do that. Just that. But if lore matters to you, if you want to know what's going on in the universe, this is a must buy. Just don't expect rules. Too many people are. That's not good. So overall, definitely recommend it. Have you got your copy yet? Are you planning to pick one up? Let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the change from the two-book scheme of N4 to the single book lore book for N5? What questions do you have? What are you looking forward to finding out about inside the new book? For me, it was kind of where we are in the universe, and then where are the new units? I need to know the new units. Where's my money going in the next few months? What about you? What are you looking forward to? Thanks again to Corvus Belli for this copy. I've definitely got mileage out of it already. Really have. It's a good book. It is worth a read. Thanks also to patrons, members. You guys are amazing. Joe Rogers, thank you so much for the continued support. We have some new supporters that have just joined, which is always lovely. If you haven't already, please consider joining them and supporting us with doing more stuff. We have so much coming up for N5 and other things and Essentials and the Infinity Institute. That's all coming up, so look forward to that. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, get the world out there. If you're new to the game, let us know in the comments below. Let us know what questions you have and things you're looking forward to. Always happy to help. And we shall see you again soon. Thanks a lot.